Happy to see everybody here. We have Devan coming in here in a moment. This is the Elevate Your Gifts 2021 with Elevation Mindset. We're getting ready for everybody else to show up. We have Devan Bailey and Gerald Pimpleton and Suzanne Buchanan and myself, Michael Dankloffs. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be letting the rest of the crew in here in a moment. We're just kind of getting ourselves settled and ready here. Today's about gifts. And the people who are showing up here are people who have done some work around discovering and taking advantage of their gifts. And as we let people in, we're going to be really doing a thorough introduction for our amazing speakers here. Devan, do you have something that you want to say to our crew before they come in?
No, just thanks for being here, everyone. There's a really cheesy saying I always love to say before any kind of talk is that 80% of success is merely showing up. So you've done most of the work just by being here.
Awesome. What about you, Gerald?
I am absolutely fantastically excited to hear what Devan has to say. And I love hanging out with you guys. I'm just like, I'm on, this is cloud nine. I'm right about here.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Gerald. Suzanne, any first words before we get officially started here?
Guys, get ready. This is about celebrating you, celebrating all you're becoming, and giving yourself a moment in this busy season when we know you're focused on everyone else. But you're the one showing up, and you're the one, maybe you're the one that sees the potential in others. This hour's for you. So we hope you engage, stay with us, and we can't wait. So thank you for being here, and you're one of our gifts. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. I really appreciate the people who show up, you know, kind of what Devan said, as well as that I'm just ecstatic. This has been a year-long project for us, and there's been very few things that I can say as a project of mine that I've actually taken the whole year to unfold the way that this has actually shown up. So it's awesome to have everybody here. So it wouldn't have been able to come across without the help of the people who show up. So I just want to say thank you. So we got a couple minutes till we're going to start. I'm going to actually, I think, open up the crew to come in here a little bit early so that everybody gets settled and we get started right at 11 o'clock. So here they come. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I see a few people, some names I know out there who are showing up for us, Adele and Morgan, and a few names I don't know. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll be getting started in a couple of minutes. This is the Elevation Mindset presentation of Elevate Your Gifts. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up. Thank you for playing with us on a Saturday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what time it is where you're at. We really appreciate you showing up for us. Since we have you here a little bit early, we are going to be talking about the gifts that we have that we bring out to the world today. So what I'd like to ask each of you to do while we're here is type in the chat what you believe your gifts are that you're taking out to the world. Let us know kind of where you fit. What's the uniqueness that you bring? What's the things that you actually really enjoy doing and you're good at? Give us a shout out here. Hello, Alan. A few more names that are coming up here.
Good morning.
Awesome. You have a couple more minutes here. So it's currently 11 o'clock. We'll be getting started in about a minute or two. These Saturday mornings or afternoons or evenings always seem to be a little bit hard to get going. So especially after a long week, I know my week has been a full one for sure. So thank you for taking the time with us.
Did you wear the holiday sweater all week, or is that just special for us today?
That's special for just us today. So it's time to get it out of the closet. So I have to show off my holiday spirit and my nerddom at the same time. So
We love
Let's
it.
get ready to say, recognize the Groku. Please give credence to the Groku.
Wow, 11 o'clock at night. Is it Turnixi? Thank you for coming so late.
Indonesia's in the house. Welcome. We love that.
Yes, and we have the palindrome going on, 12, 11, 21. Thank you. For
Beautiful,
pointing that out.
guys. As you're coming in, share with us something you think you're gifted at. Share with us something that you feel like you do better than other people, even if nobody knows it yet. Michael, what are you good at that nobody knows about yet? What's your secret gift?
That's an interesting one because I tend to talk about my gifts fairly often. So at least whenever I'm in my coaching practice, it's, you know, this is where I play. This is where I have fun. But I think that probably the gift that comes to mind is that if I get a hold of something, I don't stop until it's done. So especially if it's something that I know needs to get done. I've constantly been the person who plays kind of the special teams, those edge cases that nobody else has the time or maybe the tenacity to complete. So that's been the big one for me.
That's awesome. Adele, I love that. That sounds really special. We'll have to hear about that one.
Right.
Awesome. I think one of my secret gifts is that very few people know is I sing and write music on the piano. And that's all I got.
Got it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So it's a couple minutes after 11 here on the East Coast. Thank you once again for everyone who's showing up. We are asking everyone to, as they come in, write in the chat a gift that you bring to the world, like what Suzanne and I kind of shared as those things that people may not know about, or if it's something that you are already currently using as your career, your profession, or in your profession. We'd love to hear kind of all of your gifts. We're going to be sharing with you with a couple of our speakers today, but I kind of want to introduce us for those who are new to us. So Suzanne and I have been working on this for the last 12 months. We call it the Elevation Mindset Summits. So we've done a different subject each month of the year. If it's vision or habits or boundaries, we very much have kind of been bringing this idea of let's elevate people's lives by having a deep and authentic conversation about those things. Not, you know, pie in the sky sort of things we can't reach, but really down to earth, like how does this show up? The way we've been doing that for this past year is bringing on speakers who have actually had some experience with this, and not surfacey, but like heart-wrenching experiences around that. So that's really what has made it so exciting for me, is connecting with people who've done some of this deep work and are willing to have these deep conversations. So just to kind of list off some of the subjects that we've talked about this last year: vision, habits, flow, discipline, game, boundaries, freedom, abundance, drive, spirit, gratitude, and now we're talking about gifts. Gifts being that which we have as a special skill that we're passionate about, that we're taking to the world. That is that secret talent that we've been able to expand on over time. In order to talk to you about those today, we've got a couple of great speakers. So first off, we have Suzanne Buchanan, who's been my partner in actually building this out over this year. She is a career communication specialist. She's actually excellent in the negotiation space. She also is the fire to my water. I tend to be the calm. She tends to be the frantic, and she challenges me and I smooth things out. We also have here Devon Bailey of Shaping Reality. He is a speaker, an educator, a coach, and an author, and an overall positive human being that he is contagious with his energy. And he always challenges us to elevate. In fact, he started with us this year and kind of set the tone for the bar of where we can actually go from there. Next, we have Gerald Pimpleton. So his focus has been around changing the world, how they do business, and reinventing the American middle class, one entrepreneur at a time. But he, oddly enough, is one of the most inspirational finance guys I have ever met. He just brings this air of anything is possible. And me, my name is Michael Dancloffs of Elevate Your Best, and I call myself a life vision outfitter. I help people to see the challenges that are ahead of them, preparing them for them, and then guiding them along the journey in their life. And my goal is to shine light into the dark corners to inspire trust and self-love. That's why I do what I do. But today, we're going to be talking with our speakers here, Devan, Gerald, and Suzanne. I've got several questions kind of lined up for them to answer. And I'm going to be engaging with you as well and ask you to put a few things in the chat, because this is a conversation. We'll be opening things up as a Q&A near the end of the session as well, where if you have some questions specifically for our speakers, or if you want to share something about your gifts as well, we want to give you time and space for that as well. So once again, thank you for being here for Elevation Mindset and to elevate our gifts. So we kind of already started this conversation, but I do really want to ask each of our speakers. Let's start with Gerald. What is a strength of yours that you feel is your gift to give to the world?
Well, I am so excited about this conversation. And just to preface this, folks, I make up words that should be in the dictionary that are not. I am currently lobbying Merriam-Webster to just include all the words that I make up because they're good. I'm just saying. And what I believe my gift that I would like to bring to the world is something called, and this is a word, patent pending, non-quitability. And that means that I refuse to give up no matter what the environment looks like, no matter what the situation is. And that goes across the broad spectrum of my life. Long after people say, hey, this makes absolutely no sense, I just don't quit. It's just not in me. And that everything that I do is based on people and relationships. And I think that life revolves around people and relationships. No matter what you do, taking out the trash is building a relationship with the trash guy. I mean, everything we do is building our relationships. And I just refuse to quit on people. I just refuse to. So that is my gift. If I could actually just wrap something up in pretty package and leave it on everyone's doorstep, the ability, and I call it the responsibility, not the duty, but the ability to respond in a way that they will not quit on themselves, on people, on their dreams, on their values, no matter what life brings or the situation they find themselves in, to believe the unbelievable and to actually execute the impossible. That's my gift.
Thank you, Gerald, for that. Like I said, inspirational as a finance guy. It's a rare form, and he always brings it. So Devan, what about you? What would you say that your strength is that you bring as a gift to the world?
So the way I describe mine is in the dictionary. So I'm clearly not as cool as Gerald, but it's kind of a funny word, and that is connectedness. Now, if you look it up, the Webster's dictionary says that is the state of being joined or linked, or it's a feeling of belonging or having affinity. For me, it's way more than that. You know how important it is to know why you're doing something? You guys understand the power of reason, right? If you have a deep reason for doing something, you're more inclined to do it. Well, my gift is actually my reason. And that is that at times in my life, I felt so lost and alone. I can't bear for another human to feel that way. And connectedness for me is just merely the opposite of alone. That's the best way I can describe it. So it is a sense of warmth, a sense of safety, a natural ability to connect with people. And weirdly, when someone's hurting and I'm with them, I instinctively feel that and I know what's wrong and I can't help but lean into it. So that's how I define connectedness. And that's my gift that I choose to bring to the world.
Thank you, Devan. Really appreciate that. That connectedness is so important. It's kind of why we brought this group together. So I'm glad that you can bring your gift and actually share that with us and allow us to expand on this community. So Suzanne, what about you?
Other than singing in the shower or my car, I really, there's some questions you get asked that make you feel really big and powerful. And then there's some questions you get asked and you're kind of humbles you. And this is one of those questions that really humbles me. I don't consider myself extraordinarily talented in any big way. I just know one thing is that I'm really good at loving people. And I'm really good at loving people where they're at, even if they're not at the greatest place. And when I look back at my career, I see that everything I've done has been an effort to love others, to bring out the potential of others, whether I'm helping them as a communications specialist, helping them as a conflict resolution specialist, navigate through painful conflict that affects our lives, helping businesses and entrepreneurs bring out their potential for the world to see through marketing and communications, all of that. And then now in my startup, helping people with their health as a natural health specialist, all of that is to bring out the good in others. And that's really just one thing. So I'm just good at love, and that's all I got.
Well, I would not downplay that at all, because that's a very important thing. There are some people that is really difficult for them to connect with. So thank you for bringing that love to this community with that volume of passion that you do. So now we kind of define kind of the level of gifts that we're talking about with our speakers. I want to kind of ask Gerald, why is it important to recognize our gifts? Why is this even necessary?
I believe that recognizing, oh man, I love this. Wait a minute, I'm yummy. This is yummy. I really think, I told you, here, Cloud9, here, that's where I am. Recognizing our gifts is akin to Superman putting on his cape. He's not really Superman until he has on his cape. When you recognize your gifts, it is literally the fuel to your supercharged car of life, of who you are. It is your Batmobile to your Batman. It's the thing. When you recognize your gifts, I mean, you can operate in the full self-awareness of who you are, hold, heal, the whole 9 yards. But when you recognize your gifts, now you have a tool belt to build relationships, to build your dreams, to chase after your visions, to live a life of purpose, to create relationships with meaning and value, to extend yourself and show up in the world full of empathy and compassion, with a genuine space and authenticity, because it's your gift. It is the vehicle in which that moves you toward purpose. I personally believe your gifts plus your passion equals your purpose. That equation doesn't happen if you don't have a good conscious definition of your gift, your superpower. I like to call it your superpower because it's who you are. It is your lightsaber. Recognition. I like my coffee on the dark side. It is your lifesaver. That's just what I believe, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Gerald. Really kind of put that succinctly. So I kind of want to move on is for each of us, I know that I saw a question in the chat here is how do you know what your gifts are? How did you recognize it? So for Suzanne, I really wanted to kind of ask you is when did you first realize what this unique gift was?
You know, there's always signs. Guys, if you're not sure what your gifts are, look for the signs. I believe that they say success leaves clues. Your gifts do too. And so for me, it showed up very early in life with my ability to believe in others, in things that very few other people were willing to believe. I remember, you know, I don't want to take up too much time, but like sitting in church one Sunday and they call all the children forward and they tell a little children's story. And they were talking about the story from the Bible about Jesus, you know, feeding everyone with this one loaf of bread. And how is that possible? And the pastor asked all the kids, you know, is it possible to feed hundreds of people with one loaf of bread? And every single one of them said no. And I said, of course it is. And it was just the ability to believe. And I felt it so strongly. And that showed up time and time again when I saw people who I cared about, actually people that I wasn't even friends with, sometimes in trouble, in need. And I would show up because I knew I could, because somebody had to be there for them, because somebody had to love them into another space. The bully in high school who dropped out pregnant to have a baby that wouldn't come back to graduate. She bullied me my freshman and sophomore year until I finally looked at her and I said, would you please hit me or get it over with? And from then on, if she was in trouble, she'd call the school counselor to call me and they'd send me away from school to her house to come and get her. I could show up for other people the way that sometimes their own parents couldn't. And that's how I'm able to walk into conflict as a conflict resolution specialist, how I'm able to walk into, you know, anyone's life who doesn't see their potential. I see it, I've got you, and I can help you recognize gifts maybe nobody told you have.
Thank you for that, Suzanne. So because this, especially since this was asked in the chat, I also want to kind of go over to Devan, is when did you first realize what this connectedness gift was for you?
So there's two answers to this. One of them is very recently, and the other one is when I was 2 years old. So I'll give you both answers if that's okay. I guess on some level, I've always known because I was the guy that people would ask for advice. I was the one that found myself in kind of an agony aunt role with friends and friends of friends. And everyone kind of referred to me as a nice guy or a people person, but I didn't really know what that meant until a few short years ago when I realized that I had this burning, almost insatiable desire to connect with people, to understand them and to help them feel seen. So that's the first answer. The second answer is, are you guys up for a bit of a wild story? Something I experienced a few years ago. So I was at a personal development event where you go through this process. It's a closed eye process. It's the person who leads the event uses their voice and music to stimulate certain emotions. A very powerful process. And it is to identify what happened the moment before your first memory. Now, I know you're all thinking, if I knew that, then that would be my first memory. But the truth is you actually, of course, you can access that. The reason is because often people's first memory is very painful, but actually what happened right before it was very beautiful, and it helps with releasing that hurt and healing those wounds. For me, it was just an exploration. Now, my first memory is having a picture taken with my father in the summer in England on the day that he decided to shave off his moustache. And it was a very big, fun and exciting day. Now, I will say as a quick sidebar, we don't need to go into this in a lot of detail. There was a lot of heartache, trauma and violence around my childhood, which means that that relationship doesn't really work. So there's some old shit there that I continue to work through. But here's where connectedness came from. I'm having this memory, I'm going through this process, and I suddenly remembered what happened just before the photograph. And it was actually me with my father in the master bedroom of our old family home, where he was removing his moustache. This is back in the early 80s. And I just remember little 2-year-old cute Devan. I was blonde back then, by the way, little cute 2-year-old Devan. And I was excited. I didn't know what was happening. I was just this little buzzy kid of just joy and excitement. Now, what this process has you do is then zoom out and see that experience, that event, that memory from the perspective of someone else in that memory. So of course, as I'm going through this process, somewhat hypnotized, I switched into my father's shoes and I actually saw him look down at little cute Devan, and I felt tremendous love, like just overwhelming, bubbling over love, which of course I didn't know existed. And then this experience has you zoom out even further and see the experience from that of God or the universe or whoever, whatever you believe in. So then I zoomed out and I saw these two little figures, this little kid trotting on the spot, all excited, not really knowing what was happening. This man looking down with utter love. And God said, that is connectedness. And from that moment on, I was addicted. That is front and center. Connection is the fuel for me. And when I see someone else cut off from themselves or others, I have to intervene. I must. It is why I'm here. So that's when I first realized my gift. I was 2 years old, I was cute, and I was blonde.
Thank you for that, Devan. I just want to kind of highlight this idea of that many times our gift has shown up for us our entire life and we may not realize it. And sometimes it takes going into some of this deep work that I know many of you already are on in your personal development to discover the point now and then follow that all the way back to where it began. And for me, that's doing the work. It's knowing the path, why we're here, what we're doing. And in the end, not only knowing what your gift is, but then taking that out into the world to help change it for a better place. So thank you for sharing that deep work with us, Devan. So Gerald, what has been the effect for you on others when you are bringing this gift into the mix?
Well, bringing it serves me in a very unique way, in a lot of different ways, but a very unique way as far as my occupation in my business. Because what I do, just the audacity to do what the people that join me in business do. I literally in my business set people up to run their own agency. That's a massive undertaking when you're starting your own business. That will challenge every fiber of who you think you are, who you think you want to be. It'll challenge your relationships, how strong they are. It'll reconfigure how you deal with your relationships, because when I bring that unquittability, if you would allow me to use that word again, when I bring that, that is what I steep everything with, because it's going to seem, when you're actually stretching yourself and growing yourself and building a business, that everything is against you. The odds are against you. It's going to seem like everything that will go wrong. I mean, the 7 laws come into play. Everything will go wrong, that can go wrong, will go wrong. And you have to believe in something bigger than the things around you. You have to have a fire that is not based on the results. It has to be based on the mission and what you're committed to, regardless of the results. It has to be based on the mission. And sometimes it is not going to feed you, but you have to actually buy into the deferred gratification and say, I'm going to do this because this is who I am, whether anybody recognizes it, whether I see any fruit from it, whether I see a win, whether I get any recognition for it, whether I get any profit from it. I'm going to do this because this is what I want to do with my life. And that's, I infuse that into every conversation that I have with people. I infuse that to my conversations that I have with my kids. I mean, quick story, my mom stood in her kitchen when I told her that I was going to embark in building this business. She looked at me and she said, why would you ever want to do that? Your dad failed at that. Why would you want to try? And she lived, my mom, who else? I mean, come on. But literally to this day, she says, I am so glad you didn't listen to me. And that's powerful. And that's what I bring to people, that you don't need someone to co-sign on a check when your name is on the bank that you're going to cash it out, period.
Nice. Thank you, Joe, for bringing that. So, Suzanne, I'm curious, with this deep love that you have for people, what's the downside of having that gift?
Can I back up for 1 second?
Only one.
Guys, what Gerald just said, even your family sometimes doesn't recognize your gifts. And think of the tenacity it takes, the faith, that inner sense of knowing, and that resolve it takes to stick with it, stay the course. Devan, when he knew, he knew. Gerald, when he knew, despite, you know, what even his own mom said. So if you are somebody who doesn't feel confident in that space, we get that, because our conditioning doesn't always bring us into that environment that nourishes our strengths and our gifts. So you are, you know, don't feel like that's a hindrance. In fact, I would imagine that's going to be part of your special rocket fuel, because there's no greater motivation than, you know, I did it anyway. And I could put some expletives behind that too. So I'm sorry, Michael, back to your question.
So these gifts are amazing things that we can bring out to the world. And to me, that, you know, it's that scientific law that you cannot create, nothing is ever created or destroyed. It only changes to something, through something, and out of something. So what is the downside of this gift that you have? What's the cost? What's the vulnerability that's provided by it?
So I'm going to preface this with one thought, is that even though the cost can seem significant, the greatest and greater cost is not focusing in on those gifts. But I would say, for me, the cost of that is there's a skill set that comes with, and I think Devan might be able to support this as well. When your gift is love or connectedness or something like that, then you also need the skills to have boundaries, and you also need the discernment to understand, you know, how much to invest. As an empath who is very in tune with how others think and feel at any time, it's important to protect that energy and to protect your energy so that you can still, so your gifts maintain the highest vibration, and so that you're not kind of set off course by, I won't say over investing, but you can't, I think Gerald said this once to me, very wise words, is you can't want something for one more than they do. And at the end, everyone has their choice. So that's one of the downfalls. I fall in love with the people I help all the time, because I see their potential. And it's a beautiful gift to have that vision, but not everybody lives up to their potential. This world is full of choices, and that's okay, because it's not about me, it's about everyone else.
I did kind of want to kick this over to Devan, because I know that we touched on this when we were originally working into this, is what for you has been the downside for you having this gift of connectedness for you.
So I 100% echo what Suzanne said. I describe it as emotional exposure. And by the way, I wouldn't have it any other way. I can honestly say right now in my life, however many years into this wild journey I am, since I woke up and stopped living in a box, as of right now, standing here in my studio in front of you guys today, I have never had more problems, more issues, more uncertainty, more crises, more demands, more pressures, more things I don't know how to navigate than ever before in my life. And I've never felt more alive. And I am absolutely convinced that life is way, way less about the things you do, the things you acquire, and it's about your willingness to live it fully. And to live it fully is about expressing who we are. And I don't mean anything super cheesy like speak your truth. I'm saying be in alignment with who you really are. Say how you feel. Do what it is you feel you're called to do. Show up in the way you want to. And you know what? You're going to get hurt. You're going to get knocked down. You're going to get knocked back. And that's kind of the point, folks. To do anything less is being less than you know you can be. So that's my spin on it, is emotional exposure. I find it a constant challenge for me to keep the boundaries between myself and my clients, myself, my loved ones, even people I just bump into, because I can't save everyone. It's my job to look after me and show up as best as I can. And that is a struggle I am very, very willing to have.
Thank you, Devan. I appreciate that vulnerability. I mean, that's a word that's used a lot in personal development, is vulnerability. And that is the downside, but also then the benefit of being open and putting yourselves out there. So thank you for kind of hitting that on the head. So Gerald, for you, I want to know kind of how your gift has really contributed to your successes and maybe your failures.
Oh, wow. That's, ooh, yeah. It really is, that's a 6-wheel drive truck with 4 wheels, really. Really, because I mean, it's a yin and yang of things, because one of the things that I believe wholeheartedly is to fail fast, fail often, and fail forward. And that that drive, that I'm going to get up, and no matter what, I'm going to keep going. Sometimes, as Suzanne said, and as Devon was saying, it's emotional exposure. But sometimes you extend yourself when you should say, hey, okay, enough's enough. But you're like, oh, I gotta keep, okay, I've tried it 10,000 ways. Maybe I hit the 10,001 way. It's really a tough call. It's really a tough call. So it's contributed to my failures, and I should have done the math, the emotional math, at the point of realizing where we were. And my unquittability has moved me past places where I should have just pushed my chips in. So that's contributed to my failures, but I refuse to let any experience actually not be either a blessing or a lesson. So I'm going to extract something out of it. So that's how it's contributed to my success. That goes into failing forward, because even if the actual deal, or if the relationship, or whatever I'm embarking upon if it does not work technically, it's going to work for me from an integral and a character place. I'm going to extract value because I believe, as you said, Michael, energy is not created or destroyed. So that experience has energy. It's all about how I choose to divert it and reinvest it. So I refuse to let that energy go to waste. So that's how it's contributed both ways. I've lost everything. I've gone from making $300,000 to sleeping up under a bridge behind a grocery store in the space of 24 months. Twice in my life. So it's gone both ways. But again, you know, I think it's my responsibility to win, not because Gerald needs his name in lights, but because I need to light the way for other people to believe in themselves. And I firmly believe that there are people on this planet that are waiting for me to get my crap together so they can believe in themselves.
I very much resonate with that idea, and that's kind of been my goal. Like I said, shining light in the dark corners isn't just about the failures, it's also about the successes. It's the trophies that we actually forget that we earned, as much as it is the stuff we need to clean up. So I very much resonate with that. So Suzanne, for you, is there a place where you've seen that your gift has contributed to your success and or your failure?
Sure. I think it's again, maybe I'm too simple about this. I think it's my only success. I can't think of a better reason why I'm here. And I think if I have a failure, it's not giving enough of it away. And as Gerald just said, you know, those moments when you don't feel like you have your shit together enough, that you are vibrating at the highest level so that you can impact as many lives as perhaps you're destined to do. So many of us have this if only or once I XYZ. But a lesson I've learned along the way is it's now, it's now, it's now. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all your ducks in a row. You don't have to be beautiful. You don't have to be thin. You don't have to be rich. It's now. And the more I've waited, the more I've hesitated, the more opportunities I miss to impact someone else who, as Gerald and Devan know, need to hear what we have to say or what we have to offer. So I think that is the greatest cost that I could ever imagine. And every time I focus on those gifts, I disappear in the perfect way. That's the closest I get to flow state, the closest I get to those moments of generative creativity where you know that you are reaching far beyond your own limited capacity because you're tapped into something special. You're tapped into something great. And each one of us has that.
Thank you for that, Suzanne. It's seeing where we can actually apply that lever on our lives is what this gift is about, and knowing when to use that lever is when you're called to do it. And when we start getting stuck in our head and that little voice says, nah, not right now because ... Very important to know that if you're thinking about it, it's probably because you need to use it. So Devan, for you, I've got a question. So have you ever met anyone who's living their life denying their gifts?
Yes. Yes, I have. Not knowingly, honestly. I can't think of any clients or family members or friends who are, you know, consciously waking up every day and saying, no, I'm going to back away from a skill or ability that I have. I absolutely have met a lot of people. In fact, probably without exception, all my clients at some point have been trading safety, security, comfort, and all that stuff we so love, don't we? For not living their potential. I call it living life in a box. And I feel I've earned the right to say that because I did that for 13 years in the corporate world, where I'm not going to say it was comfortable. It was a brutal experience, but certainly I was living based on the rules that I had absorbed from parents, teachers, society, etc. I was living a lie. I wasn't being who I really wanted to be. I was being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be. And there are a lot of people in this wonderful world who live their life like that. And I consider that to be ignoring one's gifts.
Thank you. I think, Gerald, you've got to take on this as well with the clients that you've worked with.
Yeah, it's, oh man, I in my head right now, and I'm old, so maybe people may not remember this, but when Devon started speaking about living life in the box, in my mind started playing "I'm the Man in the Box." Who's that by Midnight Oil? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That was playing in my head. Oftentimes, I mean, it's the safety. It's the I call it the. I love the living life in the box. I'm going to give you credit for that, Devon, 3 times, and then it's going to be mine. But I call it the guy that's actually the person that's living life in Linus's blanket from Charlie Brown. It's the safety, security, and it's a challenge. I really, really spend time with people embracing the fact that it is scary as crap, because the way you win is jumping off the cliff and building your parachute on the way down. A parachute does not work when you're standing on the cliff. It won't go because there's no way to take it. You have to jump and build it on the way down. And that's scary as all get out. But that's the only way you fly. That is literally it. And I mean, and to Suzanne's point, it's a teeter-totter for me, because I've been in this space for a while, and it's still a journey for me, but I see the potential in people, and I'm like, can you not see? Can you not see who you are? Please, here's my eyes. Look, here, take mine. And it is, oh, it's heartbreaking. And they're like, well, I'm scared. I'm like, but you won't be scared if you see you are like the Incredible Hulk on the way down. You're not Bruce Banner. So yeah, it's I like to join people as who was that? Teddy Roosevelt was talking about the man in the marina, in the arena. You know, people, I like to escort them into the arena when they take that moment of courage to stand bravely naked in the face of the prying eyes of all those who sit in the seats of judgment, and stand proudly saying, these are my scars and these are my wounds, and I stand authentically as myself, presenting you a taste of what authenticity looks like. That, I love that journey. But yeah, that safety and security is a struggle.
Thank you, Gerald, for bringing that up. That's one of those things that I've got printed out of the man in the arena, is it's great to be the armchair quarterback, but until you were there in that moment, you don't really know what all was going on. And it's one thing that I love about coaching, about teaching, about any of these things that many of us are expanding into, is my take on that thing is going to be just different enough in order to connect with that person needs to hear it the way that I bring it. So even if somebody's already doing what you want to be doing in your life, or has a gift that's similar enough to yours, you are unique enough to bring your flavor, your taste, your approach to it that someone else needs. So stop being selfish and keeping your gifts to yourself, because that person needs it. So As we kind of wrap up some of our questions here, I really want to know from our speakers. So what gifts of yours are you building on for the next year? Where are you taking it? Suzanne?
So for me, especially this next year, I will be focusing on speaking more, not so much like this. I mean, yes, this is lovely. And guys, we're here. And if you aren't in our LinkedIn group, here's a shameless plug. You should join it because we do this every month and it gets real. But beyond this, I will be moving a little more, I would say, emphatically into both of my business lines, my natural health business, as well as the communications business, because there's nothing that I love more than helping small business owners show up. And it's exactly what we're talking about, to elevate their gifts. And I see that as so consistent with everything that we're talking about today. People come to me and wondering why their business, you know, isn't taking off. And it's almost always, how are you showing up? So that would be one way that I will be generative next year. Also speaking just from the heart, from the hip, and working to do that more, but also helping people. My natural health business will be connecting people with chronic health conditions to practitioners that are doing amazing work, and focusing on helping people find healing solutions. So I have a big map. So that would be for me for next year.
Thank you for that, Suzanne. Devon, what about you? What gifts are you building on for this next year?
So I love this question, and it's very timely because I am going through a bit of a shift myself right now. Realization that whilst the last 3 years in business have been incredible and exciting, and good Lord, the growth has been tremendous, it has been a push. And I believe that my reach and my success is going to be limited by the faith that I have. And I'm realizing that whilst action and habits and, you know, all these can do, go get them words are amazing, this phase I'm moving into now is about the softer stuff, like faith, surrender, acceptance, patience, all those words that the insecure overachiever inside of me doesn't like. So there's something, in fact, it's printed and it's on my wall over there above my other computer that says, it's a message from, it doesn't matter who you say it's from, but mine happens to say from God. And it says, use what I gave you. You lack nothing. And that is just at the core of where I'm going with faith, believing that in any given moment, whether it's a client interaction, a speaking engagement, a difficult negotiation, a financial crisis, a hard conversation with a loved one, whatever it is, I'm leaning into believing fundamentally that I have whatever I need in that moment to navigate that challenge with grace. Said another way, I'm going to let go of control a little bit. I'm going to let go of the wheel a little bit and see where this wild ride takes me, and just focus on giving what it is I have to give, more and more of it.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing, as you let go of the wheel, what actually ends up happening. The donuts you take, the roller coaster ride that you're on. It'll be awesome to be part of that. Thank you, Devon. Gerald, what about you? What are you elevating this year with your gifts?
Look, Ma, no hands. I love it, Devon. I love it, Suzanne. For me this year, I'm like Devon. This has been a huge 2021 has been the year of the pivot. The year of the pivot. And it's really kind of for lack of a better way to say, retrograded me back to the beginning. When I thought I was getting my umbrella, ordering me a fruity drink, sitting on the Maldives, I'm gonna kick back because I'm about to end my career. Yeah, no, that's not what's happening, because my business, the market, my relationships have so drastically changed that I'm once again at 50 years old, which is terrifying. If you guys don't know, it's terrifying. I'm not gonna even hold you up. I'm telling you the truth, it's terrifying. I am a 50-year-old man literally moving into the NFT space and creating, and I'm in finance. So I'm actually going to be a pioneer in that space because it's going there. And I'm like, oh. And my oldest daughter is now coming on board in business with me. So it's, yeah, I am elevating my, what Devon said, it's about the soft stuff for me. I know the technicalities and how to structure a business. I've done that. I've done it. I know the minutia of that. But it's about me believing that I can do this at 50, that I can talk to a 26-year-old programmer that has been eating and breathing crypto and NFTs and have a competent conversation to actually move in that space. And I don't know how to code a VCR, people. I'm just saying. So it's a challenge in that sense, but it's elevating my faith. It's elevating my belief in universal laws. As Devon said, you know, you have everything that you need. You're lacking nothing, nothing broken, nothing missing. All of that. And actually having the incredible opportunity to have my oldest daughter watch this in real time at 28. Do you know how yummy that is? I mean, put some sprinkles and some M&Ms and some whipped cream on top of that, because that's a sundae, people. That's awesome. So while I'm excited about growing that breadth of unquitability and the soft skills, it's terrifying at the same time. And guys, that's what alive is. That, I think Donna said it, it's not about what you do, it's about who you be, you know, and we're human beings. So I'm excited about it.
Thank you, Gerald. I really appreciate that. I mean, when we're talking about these gifts, sometimes it's discovering the next version of it. Sometimes it's about remembering that gift that we had when we were 6 or 8 or 2 and bringing that into the forefront. So I really appreciate, once again, for me, gratitude is a core of who I am. So I just want to say thank you for those who are here, who have actually been here throughout the hour, who just showed up, who have already left. Thank you for showing up. Because as Devon really pointed out, I think it's Woody Allen who said it is 80% of it is showing up. Whoever we want to give credit to. This is the work that I appreciate, and I acknowledge you for coming in and having this conversation with us. I do want to open this up as well, because I see there's quite a few people who are also writing the chat. If any of you wants to come on and ask a question of any of our speakers, or want to share your gift and how it's shown up for you, I'd love for you to actually go on down and in the reactions, hit raise hand so I can actually call on you and bring you up on stage with us. And that's more of a Clubhouse thing, so I apologize for the vernacular. Is, you know, kind of share with us kind of your process here. Also, if there is any particular takeaway that you've had from today, please type that in the chat, come up and talk with us about it. Or, you know, what thoughts were provoked by our conversation today? This is your opportunity to work with us. So Adele, please tell us what you got.
So I too am a life coach, and part of my process, I have 3 different jobs. So I have a full-time job that I have been working for soon to be 24 years. I have a part-time job making beautiful tea party favors, and then I have my life coaching job. And, you know, I know that my gift is definitely working with people with disabilities, but I want to move on and expand to other populations doing the life coaching. And right now I realize that I'm struggling with my gifts because I'm in that transition time frame of possibly leaving and retiring from that full-time job and expanding the job that I want as my full-time job, which is doing weddings and baby showers, bridal showers, and then having life coaching as the part-time job. And it's so funny because when you guys were talking about that expansion piece and being in your 50s and being on that rocky foundation, I am so there because it's that transition of moving from one career into another career, and how we're showing up by taking the gifts that we have with us and implementing the gifts of the past into the present, and possibly in your business plan, using your gifts for the future. So it's not so much a question for any of you. It's a support that I'm with you. I'm on the journey with you. I share it. I was laughing hysterically as some of your comments, you were stating them, because what you're saying is true. And I just appreciate the support that you guys are throwing out there today.
Thank you for that, Adele. Leon, looks like you had your hand raised. What do you got for us?
I'm going to have to pull over for this. Good morning from New York. And listen, I am so excited to have taken the time, even though I'm heading to an event, to have spent the hour with you, because I felt as each and every person spoke, there was a portion of what they said that resonated so strongly with what my journey has been and what I would like it to be. So I'm a nurse, a director of nursing in New York, and I've always had a passion for helping others, for motivating, inspiring, doing public speaking, as well as life coaching. And I've had a struggle in that transition. I think Gerald spoke about it in terms of that parachute and jumping. So I'm brave in the world of healthcare in terms of jumping, but I've been timid in terms of when I have to put myself on social media. I may post something concerning, motivation or uplifting others with the intent of not having it focused on me. But I think Gerald mentioned it, where the light is not on myself, but the light is to be that light to others. Because I have a slogan that I say, my purpose in life is to help others through their storms. And I truly believe that that's my gift. That is something that resonates so strongly with me that every time I step away from it, because when it comes to social media and posting, I think of, here I am, this person that is in the healthcare realm, what is he doing in this other space, and trying to uplift and inspire others. Focus on what you know best. You've been doing it for over 20 years. So I really haven't been that great or that consistent, that non-quitability, I think it was said. I haven't been that focused and consistent in that realm, but I've been inspired here. And Lifebook I've joined about a year ago, and I've been also inspired from that realm. And for 2022, my goal is really to put myself out there more, with the understanding that even if it has an impact on one, I'm serving my purpose in a sense. So I guess I'm thankful, one, for the this hour that you've spent pouring into us, because I truly I have to find you guys on LinkedIn. I need this energy around me more, because I want to jump from what I'm doing right now. Even though I'm getting my DNP, Doctorate in Nursing, I'm going through that journey and going to get it in 2024. I really don't know if I'm gonna continue, but I really feel the strong passion to do life coaching. In a lot said.
Got it. Thank you very much.
We love you.
Thank you so much, Susan.
So it's awesome in kind of what you're doing. We actually worked last year as well with another coach who works in kind of a similar space, and I'd love to connect you with her, because she's also acting as a nurse and supporting the nurses in their community. So I'd love to connect the two of you because I think that would be a great connection. Awesome. Thank you, Leon.
Leon, also, if I may, I mean, if you're still pulled over, put your social media links in the chat because we would love to follow you and support you. And also, honey, you join our LinkedIn group because we want to see you. We want to see you and we want to help you elevate your gifts all day long. Thank you for being on the front line and we love your energy. You are so welcome here.
Thank you so much. I will.
Please do that, Leon, because I am going to haunt you until you give me your social media links. I am going to haunt you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. Aaron, did you have something for us as well?
Always. If that's okay, still within the time frame. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So, I guess quickly for context, my perspective here really comes from a person who was naturally more inclined to work a lot and to think, okay, the faster, the better, the more. It seems like I have to outpace others or something, right? So that's like the perspective I have been coming from a bit. And then over the course of the call, I was writing down, okay, what are my gifts, right? Huge lists, tuck, 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 tuck. And it's not really, I realized that it was not really about directly writing down the gifts, but seeing between the lines of what was talked about. And that really made me realize this, also coming from this performance perspective, was that taking time and going together with people, which also means taking it slower, right? And practicing the courage to stand up, to do these things, will make all the difference, because that allows you to ignite your intuition, which you can't have while working 12 hours a day, right? And this intuition will naturally lead you to elevating your gifts in the world, I feel like. Because then you just have the space and it just comes to you and you're like, well, nice, I just take a bit more time to frame this text message or whatever it may be. It's not really about what you're doing, but kind of how you're doing it. And that was really, really, really nice. And the more insights I get, the more important it seems how much slowing down is important for the whole process.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that reminder, Aaron. Is that Devon, you had something?
Yeah, Aaron, thank you for sharing that, brother. That's very meaningful for me actually right now as well. I was talking with a friend of mine and fellow coach, and we were talking about branding and growing our reach and impact and all that. And he's gone off in a completely different direction because he wasn't enjoying what he was doing as much. And we said, like, how long are you going to be doing coaching? He was like, well, all my life. Like, this is what, like, I'm going to die doing this. Like, I'll die on stage somewhere. And then the question is, why are you in such a fucking hurry? And it slammed me like a freight train, because for me, and I'm not projecting onto you, Aaron, I'm just sharing my perspective. For me, there is still, and most of us do have this, that little part of me that doesn't think he's good enough, worthy enough, skilled enough, meaningful enough, give it to someone else. And that part is the part that always says, you should be further ahead than you are. You're falling behind, you're not good enough. And that's what makes us rush through these actions. And taking action in the real world is really good, don't get me wrong. You have to take action in order to create real world results, preferably massive action. But if we do it from a place of scarcity, time scarcity, it isn't going to be as juicy and as good and as you as it ought to be. So I very much appreciate your message of, let's just slow down a little bit. We have time. I think we have this habit of massively overestimating how much we can get done in a year and forgetting that we have a decade or 2 or 3 or 4 to actually become who we want to become. So yeah, I just want to say thanks for that share. That resonates with me. We have time.
Absolutely.
I can always count on Aaron to share an incredible perspective through those killer yellow lenses. Love it. Bro. Oh, yes. The struggle of scarcity. That is a book you need to write, Devon. See how I just pushed that over on you?
Awesome. Once again, thank you so much for sharing your gifts here. I've seen quite a few who you've written in the chat here. So here's kind of where I want to expand on this. If you feel like you have a gift that will serve someone else in the community, reach out. We published the LinkedIn group here. We also have a little bit of a presence on Facebook as well, but that's, we feel that the whole Facebook community thing is dying off a slow, painful death. So we're really kind of focusing on the LinkedIn space. Also, I know quite a few of you are in the Lifebook community as well. So if comment on the event over there. If there's a gift you feel can serve someone in the community, reach out. Similarly, if someone's described a gift here that you need more of in your life, reach out to them as well. This is a community where we can help co-elevate, where we can help create something new in the world. And if you want help discovering your gift, maybe reach out to one of these speakers or someone else in the community who can help you through that process and help you discover that, and maybe draw the lines where you may not be seeing them, because many times this is a huge blind spot for us. So getting some help can actually help get you there. But we are here to help elevate the world one deep conversation at a time. And we appreciate you being here, and we look forward to seeing you next month. We've already got kind of the next 12 months planned out, and we're going to be publishing that as it unfolds and bringing you some other great speakers. I could just about guarantee you that we will see Devan and Gerald in this next year, because they've been freaking amazing. Always have been.
We love them.
We love them. So
totally. Guys, we love you. Thank you so much for coming. This is a big time for many people. It's a busy season, and we just want you to remember you're part of the magic. You have your own magic. You have your gifts. So go out this week, this month, and let them go.